Welcome back to the shop. So we're just in the process of finishing up Project Snowball here, finally. And if you saw the last video, we just upgraded to a Ethel AVS2 carburetor. And hopefully that's the last of the major stuff we need on this truck. So I'm going to swap out this chrome air cleaner that we got on here for two reasons. One being that some dummy dropped it, put a little ding in the back there. I always just keep it to the back side so you can't see it. The second reason being, this one's got a drop base on it. And the only way to make it work with the big HEI distributor back there is to run these plastic spacers. They work, but definitely not ideal. So I went ahead and picked up this replacement one off Amazon. I was looking for a Mr. Gasket or similar. Even a Spectra brand would be alright, but this RPC brand, Racing Power Company, which sounds like it's from you know where. The box don't even say where it's made, so that's a pretty good indication. It actually looks to be fairly decent quality. Now this is a flat base, so it doesn't have the drop on it. And that'll eliminate the need for those spacers. It actually came with this somewhat vintage looking nut, which is actually surprising. And it came with a standard wing nut. The best part is it came with some free stickers. Nothing better than parts that come with stickers. Not that this brand is really anything to brag about. It did come with a replacement stud as well, but I've already got one that'll fit, so I'll slap this on there and see if it fits. So we'll get rid of these plastic spacers. We won't need those anymore. And we'll set this base straight on there. Beauty. Now it did come with a filter as well. It's a ProTech brand made in Mexico. But I'm going to use the Wix that was on there. You can see it's got quite a few more pleats in it. It's a couple years old, but I'll keep this one as a spare. And that other chrome air filter may end up on the 68 F100 with that Ethel carb whenever we get that installed. As you can see there, this one's a Wix 42095s are the ones I run. And I could probably get away with a 4-inch air cleaner on this one. These are only 3-inch, but you got tons of hood clearance on this thing. So yeah, the chrome on this looks pretty good. It's got a bit of junk on it there from shipping. We'll give that a little buff. This is our longer stud that came off the 1406 that we just replaced. I'm going to throw our old Chevy bow tie nut back on there. Well, that looks pretty good. Eliminates the spacers. I think I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and give that a coat of good old McGuire's high-tech yellow. I'll keep it nice and shiny. Now this drop base might actually work okay on the 68 F100. It's got a fair bit of clearance there. It doesn't have a big old HEI distributor in the way, which could go and swap one into that. A lot of guys do that, but boy, die-hard Ford guys get all bent out of shape about that. You'd swear somebody's LS swapped their truck when they put a HEI distributor on it. They're the ugliest distributor ever made. That's why GM hid them at the back. And they claim that they're absolute junk and will die on you, but they seem to run the old small block Chevys just fine. I also just received this package in the mail. It's the Chad. If you haven't checked out his channel, go ahead and pop over there. I was in a bit of a bind. Needed the last little bit for our emergency brake cable. And my supplier told me they went on indefinite back order. So I reached out to Chad. He said he had one kicking around possibly, and he was nice enough to ship it up here for me. So we're going to make a little care package for him and send it on down as a thank you at some point. But really appreciate that. He's a pretty good guy, so if you're in the Kansas area or anywhere nearby and you're in need of parts, give him a shout. He might have what you need. But only for these 67 to 72 C10s. He doesn't stock stuff for those Fords or Mopars or any of that other junk. You never need parts for those anyways, right? So we're going to take these bits, chuck them in Evaporust overnight. We'll be able to get that cable finally installed and have a functioning emergency brake. Now, I've mentioned this stuff before, but if you've never used it, it's great for small parts like this. Saves a lot of prep work. You just throw the stuff in, close the lid. We'll come back tomorrow. And then after letting it sit overnight, we have something that looks like that. We'll give this a quick wipe off. Be ready for paint. So I like this stuff because the time it would take me to go find a piece of sandpaper, I can drop this in the bucket. It comes out looking good as new. And also for hardware like this, it's got kind of the factory bluing on it. It won't damage that. It'll just take the surface rust off. And this stuff does leave a protective coating as well. You can re-dip it, take it out, let it dry, and it's supposed to prevent rust. I've had pretty good luck with that. And it's also nice because it gets into areas that are tough to sand or even sandblast. So we'll mock this up, make sure it fits, and then I will probably pull it out and spray it with some kind of coating. But a big thanks again to Chad. I've been waiting on this part for quite some time, and I really wanted to get this emergency brake functioning again this year. Pretty great dealing with people in the car community. If you ever need a hand, they're always willing to help you out, and I'd be willing to do the same if anybody else needs anything. And I'm also happy to have a factory original piece instead of some offshore reman stuff that probably wouldn't fit and probably wouldn't work. So go ahead and grab ourselves a new cotter pin here for this. That one will do. We'll get this installed and see if we got an emergency brake again. All right, so we got our clamp installed up in there. We got the pin installed on the pedal as well, which was a lot easier than using a bolt like it had before. Now, I did have to take a step drill, ream out the holes on this cable that we got from Napa. Just a little too snug to get the pin through, but I think that was just the way the holes were punched. So reamed those out, got that clamped in. Let's give it a try. Well, what do you know? It actually works. Feel a little safer knowing that this may actually work if we need it. In one of our previous videos, we got the front shock swapped out. I went ahead and did the rears as well. And they were pretty rough shape, and as you can see, not functioning. So it seems to sit a little better. Should ride a lot better now, as we do have airbags in the back, so things are pretty bouncy. And just a little tip for you. If you've got some heavy duty shocks like these ones are, they're real tough to compress. Trying to get them up and in there and get them compressed and get your bolts through can be a bit of a hassle. So what I do sometimes, just take some zip ties, measure hole to hole on what your actual mounts are. Just compress it, tighten up your zip ties, slip it in, cut the zip ties, and then you don't have to fight with it. Especially handy if you're working by yourself. I'm just using some 11-inch zip ties. A little bit bigger ones would be better. These ones may break on you, so you gotta be a little bit careful, but they'll get the job done. So I went and took this for a cruise, and I feel like it's running a little bit lean on the cruise side of things. So I went ahead, picked up a calibration kit, and as I mentioned in the install video, we can't utilize the Performer calibration kit that I already had. So I had to order the ABS2 kit. Now the kits are essentially the same, metering rods, jets, springs. The only difference being the ABS2 runs a larger stock jet, so your metering rod combinations are a little different, but otherwise they do use the same jets and rods and springs. What's nice about this kit is that the chart with all your calibrations is built right in. With the Performer, you used to have to print off the manual, keep a copy of the sheets. So that's kind of nice. And then they do include those little clips I was talking about that like to fly off and disappear into the ether. So what I'm going to do here is, like I said, it feels okay in power mode, which is this direction here. So I think we're just going to go straight up. We could go kind of up and over there. It would richen up power and cruise a little bit. Then we have to change the jet. So I'm going to go up to number 3 there, which is stock jet and a 6737 metering rod. If that helps, then we know we're going in the right direction, and we can always go back down. But I think for now, we'll do that and possibly move the accelerator pump up to the top notch, which I did have it set that way on the Performer as well. Now there's tons of videos out there on doing this, but it is really quite simple. Just loosen your screw for the metering rod. You don't have to remove it, and it's best not to, so that you don't drop it down inside there. And what I like to do is just grab an O-ring pick, carefully pull the metering rod out, and then if you're wanting to change your spring, you can pull that out of there as well. And then back at the bench, it's just a matter of moving this little spring retainer out of the way. Being careful not to lose it. And then the new rods we're going to use here are the 6737. And if you're at the age of 40 or older, you're probably going to need glasses or magnifying glass to see these. They are quite small. I like to take mechanic's fingers and gently rub them. It makes it a little easier to see the numbers. And to install the new one, simply a matter of pushing the spring down out of the way, get your retainer lined up, slip it through. Once it slips through, it'll lock in there. It can be a little finicky, a little hard to see, seeing as the spring and the cup there are kind of the same color. So we'll do the other side and we should be good. So I'm just going to do an oil change. Some good old Lucas Hot Hardened Classic. Half a gold filter. She should be ready for the season. So that's all for today. As always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.